Alright, we seem to have had some technical difficulties on the stream here. I feel like we might have to play that one back. I don't know what happened, yo. I don't know what happened. But we heard it. I got this on the recording here, but I don't know what the heck happened to the chat or my stream here. I feel like I gotta play this shit back. I don't know what happened, yo. Give me a second here. Something funky going on. I don't know if it may be my internet. Mad annoying. Oh my goodness. Oh well. Don't know what happened there, but absolutely lovely work here from Jesse. And once again, kind of proving the flexibility of feedback as a tool, and not just a literal sound, but also a source of, controlling sound. In this case, synthesis. Really lovely stuff. I don't know what happened to my chat, but mad annoying. Oh well. I hope that we can... Maybe we should just play that one back one more time. Just for the hell of it. Because that was... cut off, it seemed. I'm gonna play that one more time just for hell. Hopefully we get more people in here. I don't know what happened. Play that one again. Tied. Yeah. Had to play that one back because we seem to have gotten cut off by the interwebs. The man didn't want you to hear this. Palantir sent their ops, and they didn't want you to hear that frequency modulation feedback occurring. Those 8 LFOs feeding back into themselves. Absolutely lovely. Jesse, I know that you had presented this as a work in progress even yesterday on the private stream. And I know that you had mentioned actually on the private Discord, was it that you had gone back between then and now, and you said you reworked the track with an exciter on the master, which is the version you submitted to the project thread here. Yeah, I mean, like, you're asking if it's common for these plugins to produce some kind of tape hiss. It was hard to make the effect noticeable without the high frequency artifacts. Yeah, I mean, like, it is a saturation, exciter, like, it does sort of create these separate artifacts, just like with any distortion that might have, create a bit of noise that wasn't there before. But part of me is enjoying, I mean, it wasn't audible here, and you must have done some work on that to reduce that if you didn't want it. But I think part of me is feeling this as if we're coming through a more analog sort of output. I don't know. There was just something about this that just had a little bit of not fuzz, let's say, but just a little bit of jaggedness to this that wasn't there before. Slightly more shrill, slightly more harsh in a good way. No, this was absolutely lovely, and once again, a testament to y'all's creativity in finding new definitions. Corey says scratching an itch in my brain. Yes, I agree. Like, this does, slight saturation, slight excitation can go a long way in making something sound just that much more out of the box. Which, with computer music and with modular synthesis, even out of the box tools on their own, there is a oftentimes very DI sort of sound that comes with that add a little bit of audio engineering brain to this, and it creates that much more depth to the recording from a fuller frequency range, bringing out these partials, bringing out the harmonics, bringing out the squelch of this feedback in particular. Proof how hard feedback responds to effects. Absolutely. Once again, feedback proving its worth as a useful tool, y'all. A very important tool. I just hope that if anything, that these projects are at least opening some ideas up for you as far as, like, when seeking out this secret forbidden waveform, looking for harshness that we can control in synthesis that goes beyond synthesis by any sort of basic standards, and often in this case is quite literally using modulation feedback in a modular synthesis environment. But in general, like, all that synthesis is wave shaping, is creating waves to then be attenuated, and feedback is no different as far as a wave, a sound source, or at least a source of wave shaping. But it just depends on how you attenuate it, the type of results you can possibly get. We're getting a wide variety of results here, which is making me very happy. And I'm all the more thrilled of the diversity of styles and sounds that we got going on here. We got a little bit of electroacoustic improvisation. We got some what seems like the makings of some industrial metal or even techno. And we got some more stuff coming our way. We got a few more on our list for today. We got a track from Breath Play entitled Nut Gallery, which, as described by them, type of feedback I chose was OnlyFans comments. So we're getting into verbal feedback and not just sonic feedback. Once again, feedback, a social phenomenon and a sonic phenomenon. Various things occurring here. Fantastic stuff. I hope we don't get banned. Hope we don't get banned for this. We're up on the channels. You're gonna demonetize my platform. Nut Gallery from Breathplay. Let's go.
Where can we watch the deep fake? Too much laughing. I'm only subscribed to one other performer and I'm sad to say they don't even bother to return a comment. So, in that case I'll be dropping him when that subscription runs out. But in your case, I'll definitely be resubscribing just because you take just a few minutes of your time to talk to and answer us fans. Thank you. Love watching you suck cock, bud.
Penis.
Love this erotic talk between a father and son.
Oh man, incredible, incredible, and a true bastardizing in a good way, in a creative way, of the word feedback here. Being that these are words of encouragement and feedback given from users to content creators of a certain variety on a certain paywalled service platform, which we won't name for the sake of not endangering the stream further, I suppose. No, this was great. All sounds, as Breathplay mentions here in the chat, all sounds sculpted out of text-to-speech samples, and those text-to-speech samples are all user feedback, you know? So this is feedback. This is all samples of feedback. We will allow it. And just on its own, just the what you can get from text-to-speech with granular processing just goes to show. World's your oyster when you know a few, foundations of sound design, and granular sampling being one of them, and some of them, it seems to be we're at the end of history as far as sound design goes, because there's still just anything could become anything with granular processing and sampling. And in this case, turning text-to-speech samples of feedback on an OnlyFans into full arrangement of down-tempo dub techno, ambient techno, whatever we want to call this. The nice little funky little cowbell, little sounds kind of like tapping on a glass, really lovely, simple, effective sound design here and instrumentation, and then just like creating a nice arrangement of over the course of 6 minutes, allowing for the dub, allowing for the delay feedback to do its thing as well, and add to the spaciousness of it, but also the funk, when we have it this slow, it really allows us to kind of just like feel the pocket in this way. And still remarkable that all the sounds come from text-to-speech samples. You're really laying in. You're really going for it as far as utilizing a single source of sound to create a wide variety of instrumentation here. And it just so happens that these are still feedback. Still feedback. And yes, like you said, there's plenty of strictly defined feedback in here as well. Plenty wet. Plenty of delay feedback going on here. A wonderful instrument in and of itself, which we can obviously pick out from a lineup, no problem. Really remarkable, the creative lengths in which y'all are going here, and the creative definitions of the word feedback. And I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Fantastic work, Breathplay. Really lovely stuff. And he wrote, also used a simple feedback bus to analogify it a little. Okay, there we go. Simple feedback bus. Explain what you mean by that. How'd you did that? Utilizing preamp, saturation feedback. Curious what you mean as far as like how we made it sound a little more analog, a little more hardware, even though it's an in-the-box production. Just the main channel runs into the return. Okay, so literally doing no input within the DAW itself. Very nice. So actually going there as well. And then limited and turned very far down. So we have this squeal out in the distance. Full master feedback bus that's occurring. There's a little bit of moving distortion. Very cool. Very cool. Love that. So we are actually hearing the entire piece returned to itself at a much lower level, adding a once again unique layer of saturation. So again, here's a good experiment for y'all. Is to create this within the DAW, create a no input circuit, but bring it way down and just hear the distortion, coloration, and what can occur when dealing with such a chaotic chaotic signal flow, but controlled, tightly controlled. Fascinating. Fascinating. This is what experiment's all about. This is the lab. Y'all are in the lab. Absolutely loving this. All right. We have one more for our September into October monthly project, and this is coming to us from Makita, who told us 2 sample sources used here. The first one, I asked my friend, a shoegaze band guitarist, to record a couple feedback samples for me, and it turned out he already had 10 full minutes of exactly that, featuring the one and only Kotya, a cat who traveled in February 2022 from Kiev to Warsaw to Vilnius to Brussels. Kotya the cat is a hard-ass Podil neighborhood-born, raised street cat who brooks no bullshit. So I had to have her open and close this track. God damn. Traveled kitty. A learned and worldly kitty. And then the second source is I created a feedback chain in Logic, sending a silent test oscillator signal to a bus sent back into itself, add a delay with infinite feedback, resulting in the recording's god-awful noise, twisting knobs in the process, chopped, looped, layered, and added some more delay with heavy feedback. Not sure if I could join today. Too late for my time zone and travel to Unsound in Krakow. That's a good excuse. Good excuse. So we have a little bit of some interesting out-of-the-box feedback and some worldly feedback, and then some, again, like I was saying, this creating a no-input loop in the DAW itself. It's possible. It's chaotic, but it's possible to get something bizarre. So, looking forward to hearing this. Feedback is appreciated by Makita. Let's go. Oh yeah. This is what we call a woofer flexor. As in a subwoofer flexor. I wish that I'm in my home office right now. I'm on my little studio where I actually have my subwoofer here, because this is the type of thing that requires earth shattering. It requires shaking of the floor, and honestly requires to be performed. This is the type of thing. This is true acousmatic music. This sounds like music meant for a sound system, a proper venue sound system or hi-fi, so we can actually really flex that low end in a way that is not worrying about it being too loud. This is harsh in a lovely way, but I think also the type of work that requires being heard in a proper setting. Headphones aren't going to cut it. I turned it up. I gave myself some extra harshness on my end, just to hear it in my mixing headphones. But this isn't true sub bass. This requires to be felt in the floor and in the walls. Hearing this. This I guess, what do we call this, moving the tectonic in a way. If anyone has ever been in an earthquake before, the sound of an earthquake is often not even a sound itself, but in Earth's natural subwoofer, the tectonic plates clashing together, colliding together, and hearing God's LFO in the earth itself. Terrifying for those that have ever experienced an earthquake before. But bringing me some Puerto Rico PTSD. Thank you so much, Makita, for doing that. No, in a good way. But this is the type of work that I think, for those that have experimented with playback before, there's this whole world out there beyond DJing in the live sound system setting we call acousmatic music. Music for playback, tape music for sound system, in which it's not just simply about home listening on your own chosen devices, but rather meant to be heard at certain decibel range on certain reinforced audio in certain spaces. I think that this is the type of work that we could absolutely hear in a concert hall or in a nicely treated performance venue, in which we're not only hearing the reverb and delay and time-based effects that you've added here, but we're also hearing it, reflected in the room itself at a certain level of volume. This is the type of work that really, I think, would be very well suited in the acousmatic sort of context in hearing this live. And hopefully you can, in the very least, hear this at some point played back through some big ass speakers, so you can experience this in what I think would be its final form, in an acousmatic setting. But hopefully, for those listening in, this is the type of thing that y'all should be thinking about too. Playback of tracks isn't just for the club, isn't just for spinning. There's a whole world out there, especially in our avant-garde, not just academic, but in the noise basements as well. Can't tell you how many times I've just watched people press play on a laptop through a sound system, and then we just kind of hear it. Maybe there's a visual accompaniment to that, but it's more about just music for sound systems, music for tape, meant for live playback and reinforced audio devices. That is an art form in and of itself, that I would recommend finding a way to experience that yourself, both as a listener and as a practitioner. So Makita, you're going to Unsound. See if there's any room to be added to the bill for a quick one. There's plenty of acousmatic at Unsound Festival. They're no stranger to that. See if you could hop on, and then you add our tracks to that as well. We might as well just throw everything in there from today's session into the Unsound playlist. Good shit. Wonderful works from everybody. Thanks y'all again for submitting. I know it's hard to commit to something. We all have our own lives outside of this stuff, obviously. But But you know, it's really beautiful, this small little community we got going on here. You know, this is music school. This is you're in an electroacoustic composition program right now, and the expectations are once a month, in the very least, we can all meet on a single assignment and create something different per person while following the same instructions. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's you know, kind of putting up a mirror to everybody's sort of gut instincts as to what they would do given these prompts, given these circumstances. How would they interpret them? It's really lovely to see. You know, it's a Rorschach test when you get such a broad prompt text score from me. It's a reflection of you. You know, that's the challenge here. Even if you don't mean anything by it, even if you're just making something casual, it ends up, you know, being a reflection of you. It's a lovely thing. This here music here. Fantastic stuff. Well, we shall call it for today. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Thanks once again to our friends at Tape Trade for lending support to the public stream. We will have our October through November monthly project up on the Discord later this week. Got some ideas churning, and if y'all have any suggestions on themes, feel free to put them in the chat. Fantastic work from everybody. And yeah, we'll see you next week, same time, for our regular edition of Group Critique Fight Club. Feel free to join the Patreon at patreon.com/Parrotsky to join our Sunday sessions as well. But if not, we'll see you back here next Monday, same time. Keep on working, keep on making music. Go to a show this week if you haven't already. Get out there, be social. Music is social, so be social. I gotta get that tatted on my chest. Let that be our expression, y'all. Music is social, so be social. Keep making music. Keep talking to each other. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye, y'all. Take care.